The state of Illinois fully reopened on Friday, unless you're a landlord. I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News. Alright, so I have an interesting article for you out of the state of Illinois. It's actually an opinion article, and normally I don't go into these opinion articles, but it makes a lot of very good points about the eviction moratorium and other things. So before I get into that article, go ahead, hit that subscribe button if you haven't subscribed already, or hit the like button or leave a comment down below, and I'll keep working to bring you great articles about the eviction moratorium and news that's of interest to landlords. So this article comes to us from wirepoints.org, and it says, Illinois fully reopened? Not for landlords. Still strangled by eviction moratorium. Emergency order still in place. Wirepoints. We've made it to a day we've all been waiting for. Illinois is back, crowed Governor J.B. Pritzker on Twitter. Illinois is fully reopened on Friday, his announcement said, and headlines across most of the state parroted the same. Tell that to landlords forced to pay for free housing under Pritzker's emergency order, which remains in force with no explanation offered. Yeah, can you believe that you would even go out there and even pretend like everything's fully reopened and you still haven't fixed this eviction moratorium? I mean, that's unbelievable. You've got tons of property owners who aren't getting paid anything from tenants. They can't get rid of these tenants, and everything supposedly is reopened. I mean, people can see that the pandemic has, it's waned, okay? Infection rates have declined. The number of people who are vaccinated is over 50% of the country has at least one injection. And I'm just saying to myself, okay, well, this is over. But now they're saying, oh, well, we don't want to leave people in financial distress. That has nothing to do with the reason the eviction moratorium was originally put into place. Never during any other financial crisis has there ever been an eviction moratorium put in place. They didn't have an eviction moratorium for the Great Recession of 2008. They didn't have an eviction moratorium for the Great Depression. So what exactly is this, okay? This is insane. And this almost too much to believe, on the same day, Illinois Attorney General Kwame Raoul filed a brief asking for reinstatement of the federal eviction moratorium courts have struck down. Yet there's been nearly zero Illinois reporting on that. The eviction moratorium has been perhaps the most egregiously unfair part of Pritzker's emergency COVID orders. It has essentially forced landlords to pay the cost of a free housing program by taking away their right to evict tenants who won't pay. Yeah, that's exactly right. And I agree with that completely. So, the author of this article obviously knows exactly what us landlords are going through, probably is a landlord himself. So, there's nothing really to disagree with. One thing, that he even brings up is the fact that, we have 22 states and the District of Columbia who are petitioning the CDC to extend the eviction moratorium. Yet at the same time, those same states are opening things back up and acting like the pandemic is gone. Well, the purpose of the CDC eviction moratorium, as I've said in multiple videos now, was to stop the spread of the virus. I never thought it stopped the spread of the virus. I never did. But the CDC supposedly thought it did. So if the CDC is saying that we can open things back up, that, things are going back to normal, yet they won't end the eviction moratorium, then there's something seriously wrong here, okay? Anybody who has owned rental property knows that a significant portion of tenants will screw you in any manner they can. If they don't have to pay rent, they won't. And that's just what many renters have been doing, irrespective of their means. Reports about tenants who have thumbed their noses at landlords wanting rent have been common, such as those here and here. And he leaves links to a couple of articles. I've probably gone over them in other videos. The Illinois Property Owners Association says small mom-and-pop landlords make up the majority of its members and that the majority of rental housing in Illinois is provided by average working-class people. They still have to pay their mortgages and property taxes, and without their right to evict tenants who won't pay, they are stuck. Suing them later for past due rent rarely works. Pritzker has said he wants to keep the moratorium until August. Yeah, things are back to normal. Yeah, this is over. Everything's reopened except for evictions. No evictions. No, don't reopen those eviction courts. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. We want to keep this going until August, and then they're probably going to extend it again after that because, simply put, the problem will still exist. The problem is that a lot of people are going to get evicted who haven't been paying, and there's nothing to do with. There's nothing they can do about that other than just peel that Band-Aid off. It's gonna hurt. But if you pull it off and let things happen, then we can return to normal. But there is no returning to normal if they don't allow these people to be evicted from these properties, because the landlords will just suffer irreparable financial loss. Okay, landlords are going to go through bankruptcy, foreclosure, destroyed credit, and go through all of their emergency reserves and personal savings. They could go into their losing their own personal homes. And is that what people signed up for, to be the social service provider for the state or for the city or for the country? No, that's not what landlords signed up for, okay? And, it mentions here that let's see here. A lot of the landlords are just working class people. Most landlords are small mom and pop, okay? Most of us are not super duper wealthy, and that's the truth. And I just want to get that message out there to everyone because, they have this wrong image in their head of what landlords are. An Illinois appellate court recently ruled against landlords who had sued to overturn the eviction moratorium. Our harsh criticism of that ruling is here, and they have another link. But a federal court earlier struck down an earlier federal eviction moratorium as unconstitutional, and appeal on which has now reached the U.S. Supreme Court. Yeah, I've gone over that in my video, and I honestly do believe the eviction moratorium is unconstitutional. So I'm hoping that the Supreme Court agrees with me, agrees with the majority of landlords, and tosses this thing out. Enter Attorney General Kwame Raoul. On Friday, he joined with 22 other attorneys general on an amicus brief filed with the Supreme Court asking to reinstate the federal moratorium. It's important to see the significance of a new argument made in that brief. Last July, defending against the lawsuit against the state moratorium, Raoul focused entirely on supposed health and safety benefits of the moratorium. Throw the tenants out in the streets and COVID will spread, went that argument. That arguably helps keep the order within the scope of the governor's statutory emergency power. But last week's brief says this: even if all these renters were vaccinated, there would still be a need for a temporary pause on evictions. Economic recovery takes time, and many people still cannot pay back rent while the nation's remains in the early phase of reopening. Indeed, some jurisdictions have extended their eviction moratoriums for some period beyond the public health emergency, recognizing the need for time to recover after restrictions are lifted. Yeah, so basically, this is all financial. They're saying, okay, well, these people, they haven't had a chance to recover. That might be true. However, this is a CDC eviction moratorium to stop the spread of the coronavirus, not to fix economic ills throughout the country or bring people's finances up or improve people's finances. That is completely ridiculous, okay? You can't, that's a bait and switch. You're saying, oh, well, we created the eviction moratorium to stop the spread of the coronavirus, but now we're doing it as a social welfare program for the poor and for the homeless. No, this needs to be thrown out. The Supreme Court should be able to read through these lines and realize that this is completely wrong and a complete misuse of power, okay? In other words, the state now claims its emergency order covers economic matters, not just health matters. And remember that Pritzker claims he can renew his emergency orders as long as he wants. If that means singling out one particular group like landlords to pay for economic assistance, well, that's just tough. What about the program to help landlords stuck with tenants who aren't paying? Aren't landlords getting cash help? No. That program has been botched from the start. It's fundamentally flawed because it requires an application jointly made by a tenant and the landlord, which recalcitrant tenants won't cooperate on. The program was too little, too late, as explained here, and he has another link. And yeah, I've gone over the issues with the rental assistance program and exactly why a lot of landlords do not want to participate in those rental assistance programs, okay? And even those who do want to participate, they oftentimes can't be compensated, for their tenants because their tenants either don't qualify or don't cooperate. And the ones who do qualify and cooperate, a lot of the states, they only make it so they only reimburse a portion of what is owed, and then you can't evict that tenant later on. So they're taking the power out of the property owner's hands to say who is living in their property, and they're telling them that you don't deserve compensation for the services that you provided. You don't have control of your own property. I mean, this is the whole thing. This whole issue is complete crap. That's what I'll say. It's complete crap. And I can see through it. The majority of landlords can see through it. And I'm absolutely sick of hearing about states like Illinois and other states that want to keep this thing going forever, okay?